Thank you for joining us today. I'm Shannen here at Cascade Pet Camp.
And I'm Dr. Dana. Thanks for being here.
Hello.
Hello.
So our subject for right now is housebreaking or toilet training your puppy, however you want to call it.
Everybody's
And
hardest thing sometimes.
it is the one thing I tell people, and the one thing I remember is it's about limiting their accessibility to the house and confinement, which is tough for some people. Sometimes that means crate training.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it means crate training, or at least baby gates, X-pens, which are exercise pens, but not letting the puppy have free roam of your home.
But I live in a small house, Shannon. What do? I don't want to have a pen up in my house.
Then tie your puppy to you, so you have eyes on him all the time.
That's what I end up doing a lot. I have smaller breed puppies right now. They notoriously
are difficult to housebreak.
Yes. They just have less real estate for all that stuff to live. So, and I do live in a small home. And so a lot of times I do literally have a long leash that I wrap around my waist so that the puppy is with me all the time and I can notice that behavior change. It's also a really nice way for me to bond with my dog as it first comes home. But
for normal people who can't tie their dog to them
Yes.
all day long, the crate is a wonderful way to use your puppy's natural ability or natural wanting to stay clean in their bedding area. So, yes, usually the rule of thumb is for whatever month age your puppy is. So if your puppy is 8 weeks old, it's 2 months old, it can go one more hour past that. So about 3 hours while it's being quiet, sleeping, or confined before it has to go potty. And it's about 30 to 45 minutes if it's playing with you or playing with your children or out and about, that it has to probably be offered to go outside and go to the bathroom where you want it to. And I'm going to age myself by saying, set the egg timer on your on your stove, but most people use their phones now, and actually set a reminder for 30 to 40 minutes, and you'll be surprised how fast that goes by.
And I think you and I both do this, that, right when they wake up from a nap, after they eat, and before they go to bed, they always go out.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't potty outside, then they come back in without necessarily getting a reward, but they also don't get a punishment, and then they go back out in 5 or 10 minutes to try again.
And you have to go out with them. You cannot send them out with another dog. You cannot, and we're talking for the first 4 to 6 weeks. As they're getting used to your home and your schedule, you really have to go out there so you can help them be successful and praise them.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is the reality of potty training is that our puppies are training us.
Yes. And in the beginning, so many clients ask us, how can I teach my puppy to go to the door and tell me how to go outside? And the reality of it is your puppy is going to have to go potty when it goes potty, and it will get on your schedule, but you need to frequently take it outside so you know what that schedule is and let them be successful so you can praise them for that.
Yeah.
The more chances they have to go outside and relieve themselves where we want them to, they will get it. The more times that they run down the hallway to your bedroom and poop on your carpet, then you've just lost a training opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think we have definitely moved beyond the reprimanding them for going potty in the house. I think most people in this day and age understand that if there's a potty accident, particularly with a puppy, it's really the human's fault, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all been there, and it's super bummer, and it's hard not to get frustrated. And I think you and I agree that particularly under 6 months of age, but probably up to a year or more, they don't know that indoors is different than outdoors, depending on your puppy. I know.
Oh my God, if my dog didn't know by a year old, I feel like I'd be in trouble.
But that's the other thing with, you have larger breed dogs, so that you don't often have a potty pad in a pen with them.
But I also would not have a potty pad with a small breed dog.
Right. So, but a lot of people do have potty pads with small breed dogs, and that can be really confusing for a dog. They don't get the difference between a potty pad and your oriental carpet. It's a soft surface that they have been praised for going on previously. So I understand the value for some people with that. And when you and I have raised puppies, we use an actual litter box if we wanted something that the puppy could go in instead of a potty pad, to help keep training a little bit more clear. But I think we even wean off those by 8 weeks for sure. The other piece of having a place for the puppy to be when you can't watch it, like a pen of some kind, is that also becomes their safe place and relaxation place. And it is a lot more clear when they're transitioning. So I know for my puppies, they don't have much of a hold option when they first wake up. And so I'll even pick them up and carry them outside so they're not accidentally piddling as they walk. But it's a lot easier to notice that they've gotten up if they're in a pen versus if they're free laying in front of the couch and you don't happen to have view of that.
I also think, transitions are hard for babies. So good breeders who are, I don't know how to say, breeders who are teaching their puppies to go outside already. The puppies usually get it really quickly. And even like 6 and 7 weeks of age, an entire litter is learning to go outside and use a doggy door or going outside to relieve themselves. But it is completely expected that when that baby comes home to your house, that's a huge transition. So they're going to have accidents and you're going to start all over again.
Well, and I think that's two things about that are super important to call out for people. One is anatomically, sphincters aren't mature until at a minimum 12 weeks and potentially for some dogs even later than that. So you shouldn't expect your dog to be able to hold it just from a physical standpoint until they're a minimum of 3 months old. And then the other piece of that, yes, you should expect accidents. And if you don't have them, that is a lovely surprise and you got away scot-free. But if you go into it expecting that your dog is going to need to go out frequently and be managed more frequently, you're much less likely to have big accidents than if you expect, oh, my last dog was fine. They never pottied in the house.
Well, as we say many, many, many times, they're all individuals.
Yeah. So we're talking about house training, but what about transitioning with an older dog? Either you have a friend watching the dog at their place or you're traveling with the dog to a hotel or an Airbnb. What do you do with an older dog or an older puppy that may not realize that the rules apply in this new space?
Well, Dana and you and I joke with each other that you're more of a free spirit parent and I'm a little bit more of a tiger mom. So we both travel a lot with our dogs. But I think if you have a dog that may or may not mark, so we're talking about marking in a new house, peeing on the carpet, on the wall or something, because it's new territory for them. Whether it's a hotel room for me or Airbnb or a friend's house that we're coming to, my dogs do not get to just run in the house with their dogs or by themselves. They are walked in the house on a leash, and we do a little bit of focused for attention and a little bit of manners. Like maybe it's just a sit and a couple of tricks, and then I walk them around the house and sort of introduce them to the area. I find that always helps, introducing them to a new place.
Well, and I think there's the marking for sure. And I think one of the things that we do to also help with marking is that we teach our dogs that they don't get to pee on man-made things. So
the boys especially. Yes.
And so that translates really nicely to houses because obviously everything in there is man-made and they don't look at it as a vertical surface that they can mark on. And sometimes when you're going into a new space, sometimes older dogs, but for sure puppies, like they just sort of forget again. They're super excited. They're checking things out, which is why when you walk them around and then take them back outside, now they've had a chance to kind of investigate. They can relax a little bit. They can go potty outside. They kind of have the routine. I occasionally, although more often than not, will travel with bells because my dogs are bell trained. So what that means is that my dogs ring sleigh bells to go outside at my house. It has its pros and cons. The pros is that you have a auditory noise that means I need to go outside, that then I can bring that and put that on a hotel room door or an Airbnb door, and they recognize, I show them where the bells are, they recognize that as their symbol. The major con is that at least every dog I've ever bell trained has bell abused.
Bell abused.
So they will ring the bell for attention. They will ring the bell to go outside even when they don't need to go potty. They will ring the bell because they're bored. They will ring the bell because they
And what do you do when they ring the bell, Dana?
I let them outside and I go out with them and I see
Because you have to.
Because you have to. So yes, absolutely. I am a slave to my dogs for probably the first 6 months to a year of their life with the bells, so that association is super strong, and eventually the bell abuse goes away, or they get trained enough that if they are bell abusing, you can take the bells away. But you have to stick through it. It's been super helpful though. I traveled across the country with 5 dogs for part of the time and 4 dogs for the rest of the time. And we just put the bells in every Airbnb we went to and showed the dogs where the bells were. And we never had an accident all the way across the country and all the way back. And they used the bells seamlessly. So I'm a huge fan of that, but it does take some frustration tolerance when you have an abuser. So I'm trying to think. I think we hit most of the key points of potty training. Consistency. Lots of frequent time outside.
And confinement. I mean,
confinement,
we have many clients that come to us and they're frustrated because the dog's having breakthrough accidents, and it really usually comes down to they've had a little bit too much freedom. They've gotten a little bit older. They're allowed to run all over the house during the day, and they're having accidents in the house. They just need a little less freedom for a period of time until they get it. And the definition for me, which I heard this from a veterinarian I worked with many years ago, the definition of housebroken is absolutely no accidents for 6 months.
It's a long time.
So that's a long time for some babies, for sure. One question for you is, a lot of clients will also ask us, their puppies are getting up more frequently as they become more active, and they're not napping as much during the day, and then they're having to go outside again and kind of falling a little bit backwards on their housebreaking. Do you restrict water for your puppies?
Yeah. So I personally do not restrict water for my puppies, but that is because of all the other things that we've talked about, that they're in a crate next to my bed when they go to bed. So I just get up with them if I need to in the middle of the night. But I also tend to not have huge water drinkers anyway. They sort of sip and go potty. And having said that, I think it's totally fine to restrict water. If your bedtime is lame like me and it's like 9 o'clock at night, I might restrict water at 6:30 or 7, depending on the heat and what my puppy has been doing.
Absolutely. And some puppies have had a big day, and they've had their first time at the beach or first time at the river, and they've drunk a bunch of water. They are going to have to get up more frequently. But if you have a puppy who you're playing with it at night and it tanks up on water, yes, I would pick water up. They will be completely fine into the morning. Yeah. And that will help your housebreaking overnight.
Totally. If you're interested in learning more about what we talked about today, please feel free to reach out to CascadePetCamp.com or look us up on social media.